Better get rid of my phone. Turn it off. Afternoon, everybody. As you can tell, my voice has not got much better since I last talked with you all. I'm joined today by Ohio Department of Transportation Secretary Director Director Marchbanks, by Public Safety Director Tom Stickrath, by Colonel Gaskell and Colonel Tieford of the Ohio State Highway Patrol. What I was looking at a moment ago was some of the major intersections, places in the state of Ohio. These four just happen to be in Columbus area, Franklin County, that rank as some of the most dangerous places in the state of Ohio. Let me first start off by thanking the members of the Senate and members of the House for recognizing that we do in fact have a problem in regard to funding for our highways in the state. I'm very, very grateful for that. I'm grateful for their vote to move this process forward and to work on solving that. And I look forward in the next few days to working directly with them, with members of the conference committee, with the Speaker, and with the Senate President to come to a good resolution. You have heard me talk about how fully funding at 18 cents, our proposal, is important to the future of the state of Ohio. We've talked about congestion. We've talked about jobs and what's at stake, the ability of this state to grow, the ability of this state to attract business. But I want to talk today about what is, I think, for every family, the most important aspect in regard to our highways. Every time that, as a parent, we see a child leave, we celebrated in our family last night, our daughter Jill's birthday, and I can tell you as everyone left the house, the thing I was thinking about is their drive home. That's what you think about as a parent. That's what you think about as a spouse. That's what you think about when anytime your loved ones are on the road. The passage of this bill in the form, or at least in the amount that we originally introduced it, is absolutely essential to the safety of the members of our family. We should not settle, and we owe it to the families of Ohio, to not settle for a bill that will stop us from making critical safety upgrades that will prevent future crashes, times when people will be injured, times when people will die. We have an obligation to the people of the state of Ohio to make our roads as safe as we can. As I've indicated to you before, a while ago I asked the Ohio Department of Public Safety, Ohio Department of Transportation, Director Marchbanks in particular, to come up with the most dangerous intersections, most dangerous areas in the state of Ohio. They have done that. They went back, they worked with the Ohio State Highway Patrol, they consulted them, they looked at crash records, and they came up with the top 150 most dangerous places in the state of Ohio. With the bill that we have introduced, funded at that level, we can attack all of these immediately And candidly, when we get these done, which we will be able to do in a couple years, some will do a lot less than that time. But after we do these, we will attack the next 150 and then the next 150. Because every citizen in this state knows of intersections, of stretches of road in their county, in their community, that they shake their head every day and say, why doesn't someone fix that? I would say to my friends in the General Assembly, that someone is us. We have an obligation to our fellow citizens to fix these dangerous intersections. We have a moral obligation to do this. We have it within our hands, within our ability to do it. The bill that has been approved in the House, the bill has been approved in the Senate. And I again thank the members who voted yes for it and kept this process going. But I would be remiss in my obligation to the people of Ohio if I did not point out that there is not one of these that there will be the money to do under either the version of the House or either the version of the Senate. And it's not just these 150 or the next 150. It is major construction on our roads, which will also save lives. It is also the ability to maintain our roads. That is important to public safety and to maintaining safety for members of our family. Let me just point out that we're talking about more than fixing potholes, although as you will hear in a moment, fixing potholes can be the difference between life and death. We have the obligation to do this. I want to quote something that Director Marchbanks testified to, and I'm going to quote directly, if I could, from the director. If road shoulders are allowed to crumble, your car can be pulled off the road with you and your family in it. When roads aren't properly maintained, they hold more water, and you are more likely to hydroplane and potentially lose control. If we don't have the funding to trim trees, they could fall onto the road at the same time you're driving on it. Guardrails that aren't maintained won't protect you from plunging down a hill if you go off the road. If we don't have the funds, the director continues, if we don't have the funds to repaint pavement markings, drivers could potentially start driving the wrong way into oncoming traffic. I think the director summed it up very, very well. We also worry, quite candidly, about our law enforcement officers. And you're going to hear from two colonels, and they're going to talk a little bit about the danger they face on highways that are not maintained. We have to worry about all our first responders. Many times the Highway Patrol is the first on the scene. Many of them, I suppose every member of the Highway Patrol at one time or the other, has had to do the heartbreaking job of telling family members that a loved one had died. And let's remember that law enforcement, whether it's sheriff's deputies or highway patrol, these are also our family members and our friends. And we have an obligation to keep the roads safe for them as well. We spend money on a lot of different things, all worthwhile. But the essential function of government is to protect the people. And one of the essential ways that we protect the people is through maintaining our roads. The government's overarching responsibility is to ensure the safety of its citizens. Let me just say to my friends in the General Assembly, you and I collectively have an obligation to the people of the state of Ohio. We have it within our hands and within our power in what we do in the next 5, 6, 7 days to make our roads a lot safer, to save a number of lives, to save families from the unspeakable tragedy of losing a child, losing a brother, a sister, losing a mother, losing a friend. Again, I want to thank the General Assembly for taking us this far. We're close. But what we do in the next few days, at what level we fund this bill, and I would again urge you to fully fund it, we will determine how safe our roads are for the next 2 years, 4 years, or maybe even longer. I'm going to ask, Tom, you want to talk next?
Thank you, Governor, and just quite simply, Governor, thank you for your leadership in this important area. Thank you for putting the focus on public safety, because really that's what we're all about at our department, obviously, protecting Ohio's families, saving lives. And so we really appreciate your leadership, Governor, doing the right thing and putting this focus on public safety. I'm very pleased today to be joined, as the Governor said, by our 2 lieutenant colonels. This is really personal to us. It's personal to the 1,600 troopers that travel Ohio's roadways each and every day. And so I'm pleased that Colonel Tieford and Colonel Gaskell are here with me to talk about that. Colonel Tieford?
Thank you, Director. I'm Lieutenant Colonel Kevin Tieford, and you're absolutely right. It is personal for us. This very hours, troopers across the state are driving to either respond to a critical incident, either respond to a drunk or a drug driver, and we need to get there as quick as we can. And every time we respond to a critical incident, seconds save lives, and we can't get there. We do a lot to make sure our troopers are trained to drive at speeds that are a little bit higher than normal. But those road conditions play an equal part in getting there safely and being able to save the lives of the people that are in dire straits. And we need to be there quickly. And there's no doubt in our mind that the conditions of our highways play a huge part, and whether or not that's troopers responding to a critical incident and hydroplanes on the highway, we need to get there quickly, and those road conditions are very, very important to us. And Governor, we think about those same things about when we're driving to a critical incident, someone's mom or dad or son or daughter is in that traffic crash, and we don't want to have to go tell those parents that their loved one's not going to come home. And we need to get there quickly to be able to respond to those. And we know for a fact that there are roadways, there are highways, and there are intersections across this state that need attention to, and to be able to help us from an enforcement standpoint save lives. And that's what we're here for.
Thanks, Colonel.
Sir. Thank you very much. Yes, sir. Thank you.
I'm Lieutenant Marla Gaskell, and Governor alluded to how it can be very personal for a family member, and this is just one example of an unsafe road condition that I thought I would share with you today. It was a March morning. An innocent victim was on her way to work when another vehicle traveled left to center after it hit a pothole and struck the innocent victim. It was our troopers that responded to the crash, and it was also the troopers that had to go to the house to tell the family members that their loved one was not coming home. Incidents like this, not all crashes are caused by unsafe road conditions, but in cases where it could have been prevented as a result of safer roadways, so we don't need to deliver the tragic news to family members when it was clearly a road condition that caused the tragic loss of a life. I would just encourage everybody to slow down and take your time. Thank you.
More than happy, any of us will be more than happy to answer any questions.
Governor, there's nothing, the Constitution says you can't use gas tax money for anything but roads, bridges, highways. But there's nothing preventing you from using the income tax or other taxes in the general fund for roads. Would you supplement to make up the difference?
Here's the problem with that. By passing transportation bill that's appropriately funded, we take care of this problem for years. The money that we might have out of the general fund, every time is one-time money. We don't know where the economy is going to be. We don't know what money will be available. So it would be a hit or miss. And we might bail this out a little bit 1 year, but the next year we may not have the money to do that. So it's not really the most conservative or cautious or prudent way to do this, to take it out of the general fund. It is better, frankly, if we have a level set that we know that there's going to be a flow of money that will guarantee we'll be able to maintain our roads and do the things that we need to do, frankly, in regard to safety.
Governor, just a reaction to the 6 cents.
No, my reaction is I thank the members of the House and the Senate, both for passing their respective bills. They've got us this far. I think that was a recognition that we have a problem. Now the question is, what is the appropriate level of money, of funding, that will dig us out of the hole that we're in, and frankly, allow us to avoid the bigger hole that we're fast moving into because of the fact that the bond money is now gone. And, we've got to somehow pave that over. Excuse me for the stating it that way. But
Governor, the Senate took $55 million in public transit funding from federal flex dollars per year and put it in the GRF budget, $110 million. Given what you just said, how concerning is that they want to fund that money from the GRF?
Well, look, I'm not going to comment on what the Senate did or what the House did. We know that transit has to be funded, needs to be funded, and it needs to be funded in an adequate manner. We also know it can't legally be funded out of the funds from our highway taxes and from our gas tax. So these are two different issues, but they both come together certainly in this bill. They have historically been put together in this bill, and so we are very much in favor of having good funding for transit. Look, that's not going to be a game breaker. That's going to get, I'm sure, worked out. No.
We have heard everything you guys have talked about today before. The lawmakers have heard everything you've talked about today before. Where are you willing to make concessions when it comes to the conference committee?
Well, let me just say that, I'm not sure I've articulated it well enough in regard to safety. And I was thinking about it this morning when I got up, and I said, look, I owe it to the people of Ohio. I owe it to the legislators. I owe it to the families of Ohio to express in as accurate way as I can, not pretending it's eloquent, but in a way that tells it like it is, that what really is at stake. And I thought this morning, I've talked a lot about the growth of the state. I've talked a lot about jobs. I'm not sure I've really talked about what's really in my heart, and that is how important this is to safety. We have it within our hands in the next few days to save lives. That's just a fact. We know what it takes. Now, we can't save every life. Accidents are caused, these tragedies are caused for many reasons. But we really, when we know where the dangerous areas are, when we know where these places are, don't we have an obligation to go after them? Don't we have an obligation to go fix them? It just seems to me that we do. And I would just emphasize again, we know these places are there. We can go, with our bill, we can go fix them, and then after that, we'll go fix another 150, and we'll just keep going. And that's what I think, when I travel the state and talk about highways and funding, the issue that people really bring up to me is not economic development, not jobs. Sometimes they do. But usually it's about I worry every day about my family out on the road. I worry about my kids. I worry about my spouse. That's what real people out there are talking about.
With that all being said, your bill's been rejected by the legislature. Where are you willing to make concessions?
Look, I think I have an obligation to outline, where I think what is needed. And look, every member of the General Assembly is a person of goodwill. They're all trying to do what they think is right. As I said, when I got up this morning, I thought, maybe I haven't really talked about what is the most important thing, and that's safety.
Governor,
Anybody else?
To the first question, have you considered using rainy day funds at all?
Whether we use general fund money, whether we would use rainy day fund, your problem is it doesn't give a permanent solution. Look, what we have proposed, I will tell you, that will take care of what we proposed. There's not a member of the General Assembly that will ever have to vote on this again if we do it the way we outlined. They'll have to cast one vote. Not again, because we have it set, at least for the next 10 years, that we will have enough money to take care of these problems. Now, if we don't have that, I can't tell them that.
And that's with indexing?
That was in our bill. That was in our bill. Yeah.
So it sounds like if we were to ask why you think the legislature hasn't met your request so far, you might say that you haven't made the case that you think will.
No, I wouldn't say that. I don't think I said that. Look, I think I made the case, but all I said this morning was, all I said is when I got up this morning, I thought, I really need to talk about what is the most important thing. And I need to spend a little time and explain why I think it's very, very important. I would say for anybody.
Do you think the legislature believes the
Look, I can't do that. I can't get in people's heads. All I'll say is I thank them for their votes so far, and I think they're all good people. But we have a job to do. I don't think this gets the job done, what they've done so far. We got to go get the job done. Inside that room we wanted to put it out here, and little technical problems. But if anyone wants to take a look at it, these are four of them, right? 4 of the areas that are just here in Franklin County in central Ohio of this list that I have read. But this list is available. These are all over the state of Ohio. So, anybody else?
would have asked for 25 cents now?
Governor,
Well, it's an interesting question. It's an interesting question. All we have in public office is our credibility. I wanted to come in with a rock bottom number and go to the General Assembly and say, we've studied this, we've looked at this, this is our rock bottom number. Yeah, we could have come in at 30 cents. We could have come in at any other number. But it seems to me that the next time I would go to the General Assembly, they'd say, well, are you highballing us again just so you end up at some place here? That's not how I do business. And look, the General Assembly is just getting used to me. I get that. But I'm going to be a person who tells it like it is. I'm not going to be shy about it, but I'm not going to exaggerate either. And we've looked at this. We've looked at it very, very hard. This is what we need to keep people safe in the state of Ohio and keep our families safe.
Governor, off topic, the state notified Planned Parenthood this week that you were taking away its federal funding pursuant to your court victory in the Sixth Circuit. Comment?
This was a decision made several years ago by the people's representatives, the General Assembly. That has now been, court has now decided that the General Assembly had the right to make that decision. We are simply following the directive of the General Assembly. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.